When we're dealing with date and time analysis, of course we want to use line charts. Power BI is pretty smart. If you give it a date field, it knows it's a date and it creates a nice and smooth line chart. However, if your date and time are stored in separate tables, which is commonly best practice with dimensional modeling, the line chart breaks. That's not pretty. Let's have a look at how we can avoid it. So here's an example. We will have a look at the data. There is a date dimension, which just has a date and a date as k for surrogate key. We also have a separate time dimension, which stores time surrogate key, hour, minute, and we have defined a special time column, which is a 4-hour interval. If I want to analyze the data and display it in 4-hourly intervals, this is what I can do. So for the hours of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm putting in a 4-hour interval as a 0 up until 3 hours 59 minutes. And starting at 4 a.m., I'm marking it as 4. So the 4-hour interval always marks the starting time of the hour. And then, of course, for the next 4 hours, this is now the 4, etc. Now, in the fact table, that's where our measurements are. And we simply have a random measure. We have a data scheme, we have a timer scheme. Now, I want to visualize our measure by date and 4-hour intervals. Now, here's what it may look like. You know that you want to create a line chart, so that's where we're going to start with. And I am choosing, of course, my measure that's going on my y-axis right there. Now, what do I want on the x-axis? I want the date, of course. And that's nice. So that's giving me, we have a week worth of data. We're going down from year, quarter, month, and date. And if I just go ahead and add the 4-hour interval underneath the day onto the x-axis, well, that's not very pretty, right? Because we now have broken our nice continuous date axis into separate chunks. Yeah, so this is a categorical axis now. And even worse, if I try to make it a bit smaller so it doesn't fit into one visual, you can see how I'm squishing it. I'm getting a scroll bar at the bottom. So you can imagine that if I had more than 7 days, this is not going to fit. Or if I decided to go on the hourly level, I'm getting a large scroll bar. Now that is not useful in the line chart. We're mostly interested in the shape, right? So we want to see the whole of it in one go. Now, what can we do? The problem clearly is that our date and time are separate. So here is what we need to do. We need to combine the date and the time into one field. And we're going to create that new column inside our fact table. We know that the tables are related, right? The fact is related to the date dimension as well as to the time dimension. So there is a linkage. And because the link goes from both dimensions to the fact table is a good place to create a new column that utilizes both the date and the time. So we're going into the fact table and creating a new column. I have prepared the syntax for it, but essentially all we're doing is saying, take the related from the table date dim column date. Yeah, there it is on the right hand side. I can see there is such a column. And plus, we're going to use the time of the related table, which is called time dimension. And we're going to grab the 4-hour interval column. 4-hour interval, in my case, this column is a integer, just to make it a bit easier to work with. So now I'm going to commit. And on the x-axis, I will delete what I've got there now, and I'm just going to use the date time. And what I also need to do is, instead of using the date hierarchy, because that only goes down to the date, we got to pick the actual field, the date time. Right, now I can see that, let's say between the 6th of January and the 7th of January, I have all these data points. Yeah, I have the 4 a.m., the 8 a.m., the 12 p.m., etc. And I can squeeze this line chart, make it as small as I need to, and I still have all of it in one view. Now we have seen how combining the date and time fields from different dimension tables into one calculated column on the fact table allows us to create nice line charts with a continuous x-axis. Thanks for watching.